Oh, Davey, thanks for clicking on the link and clicking on another one of my videos. For the past few weeks I've not been out and about doing the things I like to do and, you know, pursuing this interest, a renewed interest. But what I have been doing is watching quite a few videos, and it's, you know, things sort of dropping into place really. But I'm dropping into place. Other ideas is the best way to describe it, I think. What I want to start with really is what I call a mud event. I'm going to show you pictures of a modern day mud event. It happened in Christchurch, 2011 I think it was. And it just basically shows, you know, what actually happens. After this earthquake in Christchurch, the vibration of the earth caused liquid mud to start bubbling up through the streets, around the foundations of houses, people's gardens, roads, everywhere. You know, it's the remainder of the earthquake. You know, it's the vibration of it. You know, it seems to have the ability to turn this stuff to liquid. Now, I've watched quite a few videos about liquefaction. I've seen quite a few experiments done whereby, you know, you can have a solid mud, add a little vibration to it, and it can turn it to liquid. And it got me thinking about a few things. One of the things is make rebel without the cause. One of the videos I was watching of his, two of them actually, he was talking about tunnel networks, and tunnel networks that, you know, spread from here, right from this country, you know, right throughout Europe. There's Kathy that's done great work down in Great Yarmouth. She's discovered old maps with tunnels of paper apparently going out, you know, underneath the street. But this is modern day liquefaction. As you can see, it's quite a devastating effect. And this is basically what happens. It just, the vibrations cause this mud, wherever it comes from, you know, I don't know, there's big lakes of it underneath us or whatever. But the thing that got me thinking about is, you know, this event that seems to have happened in the early 1800s. I was watching someone else's video and they come up with quite an apt saying really. He said it's a worldwide event. It was a worldwide event, but yet it was kept local. And that really rang a bell, you know, with me. Because, you know, for example in the UK, if there had been a massive earthquake that's caused this, you know, liquefaction right throughout the country, it possibly would have gone recorded somewhere along the line. But if these events were happening maybe town by town, you know, maybe the controllers would have a better control of the information that was actually recorded, if that makes sense. You know, this is a cool chap here, he's just sticking his car out the mud there. But this is a modern day event. I'm not going to go on too much about it because I do recommend that you go on YouTube and type in Christchurch and liquefaction or liquefaction experiments. You know, it's, as you can see, it speaks for itself. The thing is with earthquakes though, you have this problem. You know, you have buildings that fall apart. Where in the mud events that we've seen, or I've been seeing, buildings have seemed to have withstood the test of time. That really doesn't ring true with an earthquake. You know, this mud event has happened, and a lot of the towns and cities that it's happened in, there hasn't been no devastating no devastation really, buildings falling down, anything like that. I'll change the subject slightly now and go on to what I'm trying to get at. Here we go, Jim will fix it. Underground tunnels, underground sewer systems, things that are out of sight basically that the general public don't get to see have always fascinated me, so much so as far back as when 76, 77 I actually wrote away to this fella, thank God he never replied, you know, Jim will fix it, because I was so intrigued by seeing pictures in the library of Victorian sewers. Now, the pictures I had seen in the library, I mean, it was long before I didn't even, you know, it was just when we first got televisions, colour tellies anyway, about 76 I think it was. But I'd heard and I'd seen pictures of the size of some of in the big cities, the sewer systems that run below them. And, you know, it got me thinking, you know, these are just a few pictures, random pictures of various sewer systems and river systems that are flowing through most towns, large towns and cities. You know, some of these places are quite elaborate and quite stunning. I watch quite a few programs of urban explorers that go down into some of these systems. I mean, Manchester, what's below Manchester is unbelievable. And I think it's the same with most major cities. But the tunnel systems I want to get back to, because the Victorians have claimed responsibility for all the sewer systems in the country, basically. You know, I mean, any water authority, you know, once you get your water bill in once a year, somewhere, you know, in the glossy booklet that they give you to tell you what they're spending the money on, a huge portion of it is on Victorian sewers, replacing them. But I question whether a lot of these underground tunnels that are used as sewers were there before the Victorian times. Now, I have seen pictures of sewers being constructed in Victorian times. However, you know, a lot of these explorer videos that I've watched, some of the sewer systems, I believe, are a lot more than that. You know, at a later date, they're being used for this purpose. But watching that video that Mick put out, Rebel Without the Pause, you know, tunnels can be used for anything. And I mean, literally anything. They can be used for people, they can be used to transport, you know, horses and carriages if they're big enough. They can be used for wastewater or, you know, waste sewage. But could you pump sound along these? And that's where my train of thought went to. These ones get me because of the oval shape of them. They're like an egg, you know, standing egg on its point. And I've seen these similar designs in explorer videos where they're beneath forts, and the tunnels are of similar design. This is the Fleet Bridge in London. They're repairing it, but I mean, all these doorways leading up, that looks like a little window. I mean, it looks as if it's been there a while, all the stalagmites or stalactites, not sure which ones. But, you know, I don't believe that. See, the Victorians, every single town, as I've just mentioned, has a Victorian sewer system. Now, during the Victorian era, imagine just the workforce alone that's needed just to build the sewer systems. Now, when you start looking into towns, like I have done with Scarborough, when you look at the building period that was going on during the Victorian era, I'll say again in inverted commas, you know, it was absolutely colossal. You know, they must have needed thousands of workers, because it's this Victorian timeline again, isn't it? You know, where the Victorians claim responsibility for everything, but as people are proven on a daily basis, the Victorians done very little. You know, that a lot of the Victorian buildings that they take credit for, that, you know, it's getting proved that they were built before Victorian times. And I can't really believe that, you know, before Victorian times they didn't have no form of infrastructure for waste management or water management. That's why I think some of these tunnels have been in a bit longer, but I also think they possibly could be used for other things. You know what I mean? Some of them are just out of this world. I mean, look at that for a sewer. I mean, it's quite an elaborate place to be pumping shit about, really, and that's basically what they're for. But when I started looking into these pictures, what I found absolutely blew my head. It really, really did, because... Where's it gone? No, it's not the one. We'll go over again at that one. Is this place? This is a Victorian pumping station. Now, whether it's for pumping water or whether it's for pumping shit, it doesn't really matter. This building is absolutely stunning and beyond belief for a pumping station. You know, and the tech on top of it is unreal. And then, I'm going to go back that way. This is a diagram of it. I mean, they're only the pumping station. These towers, the tech towers, you know, it really blew my mind away. It really did, because, you know, the base of this tower here, can we go back? Is that thing there? I know, but it's bloody humongous for a chimney, which is what they're saying they are. You know, this place is absolutely out of this world. Look at it. You know, and it's a pumping station. And I don't believe that the Victorians built this. I really don't. You know, it's just breathtaking building. I mean, this is the inside of it. It's just crazy. You know, the outside here, it's, let's see if I can blow that up a bit. Is it going to let me? One thing I've noticed on the grand windows as well, that run around the top of the Grand Hotel in Scarborough. You have your windows here, for every so often they're blocked off. All these are blocked off now. They're always blocked off. You know, just got me thinking. I mean, look at the doorway to get in the place. And what are these down here? You know, and it's a pumping station, for goodness sake, for pumping bloody water about and stuff like that. I mean, this is quite interesting as well. The shape and the centre of it. You have your hexagon. And the reason why I find it quite amusing, because, I mean, look at this splendour here. You know, why is all this necessary? To just pump in water? It doesn't make sense at all. It's another, you know, an artist's impression. But these big, huge towers here, they're nothing more than a pumping station. That's inside the place. You know, it's really stunning. Here's the picture of it. See, look at the top there. I mean, the tech. And I can't stress this enough. You know, it's a water pumping station, for goodness sake. I'll leave that one. Right, Crossness. Another one of these wonderful Victorian pumping stations. You get tech towers up the top. Work up just a bit. You know, you've got your tech towers up the top there. Right away along there, you've got your metalwork. Looks like there's metalwork right the way around the top there. And these towers, you know, these are, it's not a subject I planned on going into, Victorian pumping stations, but when I saw them, this is what it looks like from the outside. It doesn't look that high tech, but look at that inside. You know, I can't stress this enough. This was for pumping water around people. I know they've just retarted it up and repainted it, but, you know, talk about overkill on a building and going over and above what it was, you know, there to do. I've just whipped through a few of these. Again, this is a separate pumping station to the first one I showed you, but you've got your hexagram there in the centre. Hexagram round the top there. But, you know, these are just thoughts I'm putting out there. I mean, look at this place. I can understand maybe now it's used for pumping water, or, you know, maybe it's a museum piece, I think these are now. But just look at that. Just for pumping water. Doesn't make sense to me. This is underneath one of them. You know, these are the great vast underground chambers that, again, the Victorians claim responsibility for, which I don't think the Victorians had anything to do with, to be honest. These are just a few random ones I picked off the internet last night. You know, I'll emphasise again, these are just water pumping stations. You've got your bits of tech round there, your tower there with your tech on the top. You know, it's crackers. There's another one. These towers. And that's just another view. But, you know, why are these necessary? You know, why are these decorations necessary? Why is all these ornate windows necessary? When it's just a building to house machinery to pump water. You know, for me, it's just batshit crazy what we're expected to believe. I'll move on to try where I'm trying to get at with this. The Susan that I mentioned, and basically what Mick Rebel without a pause was saying, we don't have a clue what's below our feet. You know, there might be tunnels and networks that we could just, you know, we could only imagine or dream about. Very unlikely that we'll ever get to know either. But the thing is with liquefaction, and this is where the church has come into it for me, what I've been thinking about. The churches, as we know, big church buildings were hijacked by religion. There were energy gathering devices, there were various different, you know, parts of machinery, for want of a better word. Then it got me thinking onto the bells. You know, we associate bells with churches and ringing out the bells on a Sunday to get people to church. But if the building, the premise of the building's a lie, the foundation's a lie, the reason why the bells are there may be a lie as well. And it got me thinking the vibrational energy and what Mick Rebel Without a Pause on one of his last videos was showing. You know, the material, solid material, vibrated at the right frequency can turn basically to liquid. And there's one thing that every country across the world, every town, every city, even every village has churches with church bells. You know, as to whether you have elaborate systems like that or you just have your tiny church bell with your metalwork at the top that's split there. You know, from your small churches to your megatrons, as I call them. You know, they've all had bells installed for a reason. Now, as we know, these tech devices, energy gathering devices, it got me thinking about the vibrational energy. And vibrational energy, I was thinking just from the bells, but maybe, you know, it could be another part of the building. If it could be stored, but not so much that. How to keep something local, you know, with liquefaction, with a bloody big earthquake, it's going to cause all sorts of problems and it can affect many areas. But if you could take that vibrational energy and pipe that vibrational energy through tunnels like this or similar ones, you could cause localized vibration of the area. You know, you're not talking about mega earthquakes that's going to decimate the whole country. You know, if that technology was around, which there's all sorts of technology that was around we don't know about, could this be a possibility? Because the other video that I mentioned in the beginning that I got onto watching, and what he was talking about was how it's a catastrophic event that's affected every continent, every town, every city just about, across the world, but yet it's so localized. Now, if the vibrations that cause such a mud event, it could be kept very local. If the vibrational energy was radiating out through these tunnels, as opposed to massive earthquakes that affect, you know, buildings, this could be a way of keeping it very local. You know, it's a batshit crazy idea, I suppose, but, you know, it's just a combination of these past couple of weeks of not being out about doing things, of watching other people's videos and what they have to say. And I'd say it was a combination of a couple of videos, the tunnels going out underneath the sea, down at Great Yarmouth, and Mick mentioned about the tunnel systems. We didn't know what's below our feet. And then it got me thinking, you know, was the technology there in the past? Because, like I mentioned, tunnels can carry anything, whether it's people, passengers, water. So why not sound? Why not vibrational energy? And I will, you know, pretty much wrap it up there for now. But the things that I'm saying, you know, I mean, with vibrational energy and frequency, we're seeing, you can see experiments on YouTube, the devastating effects it can cause on things, how it can change the structure of things, how it can levitate things. So who knows? And you know, these urban explorers that I've been watching, there's a few of them, and it's quite frustrating at times because they're going down underneath the streets and they're looking around, and I'm seeing things through different eyes now, and you know, I just wish they'd panned that little way a bit further or this way a bit further, because I'm sure that looks more like a window than out else. And you know, there's some crazy underground structures that I've seen as well. Manchester's one. There's been a lot of people who are down below the city of Manchester. You know, it's a metropolis down there, really. And everyone says the same. It's the Victorian arches. You know, the scale of building that the Victorians claimed and put the name to would take the population of America just to cover the bloody workforce needed. You know, as I mentioned earlier on with sewers, the Victorian sewer systems, every town has one. So it's one massive undertaking during the Victorian era that basically the whole country finally got underground sewers. But say, were these places there before? I don't know. You know, this is the Fleet River, but things on the wall there, you have, you know, bricked up doorways there. These are the ones that get me though, these oval ones, because as I mentioned earlier on again, I've seen a lot of underground fortifications where they're of a similar size and a similar shape. And what better way to, you know, to make this event global but keep it local? You know, you could wipe out one town and 2 years later wipe out the town next to it. You know, it doesn't all, if there's something like this involved, it doesn't necessarily have to be a worldwide event. It's all happened on the same day. You know, the controllers that be, you know, they've been around long before the Victorian era. If you have events like this happening locally, especially in Victorian times, we didn't have the newspapers and things like that we do now, when we didn't have internet or TV, so it's a lot easier to keep this type of thing under wraps. And if local newspapers have reported on these things, it's very, very easily, you know, a couple of years later from them stories to be airbrushed out. Or maybe not just a couple of years later, maybe only 40, 50 years ago. We don't know. But the thing is that, as I've found, and with most people who watch these type of videos, you know, the official narrative of what we're told, you've really got to look in the opposite direction. Because our history, you know, every aspect of our history is fake, it's staged. You know, we've constantly been lied about it. And these Victorians, I mean, the biggest liars that walk on this earth. Because there's so much. The sewer systems, one, make well, Paul was mentioned in one of his videos earlier, the amount of workforce it would have needed to take to dig out just one block of houses in the city of Glasgow, never mind the whole city, or 40, 50 cities. But, you know, like I say, batshit crazy ideas, too much time on my hands, I think, at the moment. But, you know, I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on that, because it is it looks like a very easy, simple way of creating the vibrational frequency needed to liquefy the mud, but to keep it local. And it's like the silent weapons for silent wars, isn't it? If this is vibrating around underneath people's feet, you know, it's not the big cataclysmic weather event that's caused it, whatever. I mean, people are just being ignorant of it. It's a thing that's happened, and, you know, they've got to get on with it the best way they can. And if you can keep these happening on a local basis, well, you can control the reporting of it, as I've said. So anyway, it'd be nice to hear your thoughts about that. I'll wrap it up for there, and, you know, thanks very much for watching, and, you know, please let me know your thoughts down below. Many thanks. Bye.